In this video, we're going to do some example problems with function composition. So we have these two functions, f of x equals negative x squared plus 2, and g of x equals x plus 5. We want to find f of g of negative 3. So remember that when we're dealing with composition of functions, we always work from the inside out. So we are putting our input into g first. Our output of g becomes our input of f. So first we want to find g of negative 3. So that means that we are plugging negative 3 in for x into the g equation. So g of negative 3 is going to be negative 3 plus 5, which is 2. Then we are going to take our answer 2 and plug it into f. So we take the result of negative 5, plug it into f, and our result is f of g of negative 3. So f of 2 is going to be negative 2 squared plus 2. Now here, note that this negative sign is outside in front of the x squared, and so I'm going to do 2 squared and then make it negative. So that's minus 4 plus 2, which equals negative 2. Now we're going to find g of f of negative 3. So we're going to plug in the opposite order. First, I'm going to plug into f, negative 3 for x. Now be careful here. This minus negative does not automatically turn into plus. We have to do the squaring first and then apply the negative sign. So negative 3 squared is positive 9. So this is negative 9 plus 2, which equals negative 7. Then we're going to plug that into g for x. So negative 7 plugged in for x is negative 7 plus 5, which is negative 2. Now we happen to get the same result regardless of the order. That doesn't always happen, it's just a coincidence in this case. As we saw before, the order does matter when you're doing a composition of functions. So now we're going to do a problem where we have to compose functions without plugging in a value for the variable. So we're going to get a formula instead of just a numerical answer. So here we have f of x equals 4x minus 3 and g of x equals 5x squared minus 2. We want to find f of g of x. So f of g of x means that we take the function g, which is this, and we plug that in to f. So we replace every x in f with this g function. So what that's going to look like is I'm going to have 4 times, and I'm going to put it in parentheses, 5x squared minus 2, and then minus 3. Now I'm going to simplify. So I'm going to distribute this 4. That gives me 20x squared minus 8, and then I have a minus 3. Combine the minus 8 and minus 3, and that gives me 20x squared minus 11. Now let's do the opposite order. So now we're going to take f and plug it into g. So I'm going to switch colors here. So we're going to take this 4x minus 3 and replace x in g with 4x minus 3. So again, we are working from the inside out. So we are going to have g of f of x is going to equal 5 times 4x minus 3 squared minus 2. Now this one is going to take a little bit more work because I have to square this 4x minus 3. And when I do that, I need to remember that that is 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3. Now, when I write it out like this, I could do this in a couple different ways. I could start by distributing the 5 into the first set of parentheses, or I could multiply the two sets of parentheses together and then distribute the 5. Whatever order you want to do is fine, it doesn't really matter. I'll distribute the 5 into the first set. So that's going to give me 20x minus 15 times 4x minus 3, and then minus 2. So multiplying this out here, 20x times 4x is 80x squared. For the outside, I get minus 60x. For the inside, 15 times 4, I also get minus 60x. And for last, I get plus 45. Negative 15 times negative 3. And then don't forget this minus 2 that we've just been bringing along. So finally, combining everything together, we have 80x squared minus 120x plus 43. So, number 10 says to find f of g of 2. Now we could do this the same way that we did previously, where we plug 2 into g, then get our answer and plug it into f. Since we already have a formula here for f of g of x, we can directly plug into that formula. So I'm going to switch back to purple here so that it matches what I did before. The f of g of x formula is that it's 20x squared minus 11. So I'm going to plug 2 in for x into that formula. So it would be 20 times 2 squared minus 11, which is 20 times 4 minus 11. Make sure that you aren't multiplying 20 by 2 to get 40 and then squaring that. That's not going to be right. 80 minus 11, 69 is my answer. Similarly, for number 11, I could plug into f and then plug into g, or I can use the formula that I have already found. Which, since I've already found it, that's going to be a little bit easier to just plug into that directly. So for that formula, it's 80x squared, so 80 times 2 squared minus 120 times 2 plus 43. So 80 times 4, 120 times 2 is 240. 80 times 4 is 320. Use a calculator here if you need to. 320 minus 240 is 80 plus 43 gives me an answer of 123.